Welcome, agents of purpose. It's so cool to be hanging out with you for 25 minutes I get to share. Super happy to be here and actually very full after lunch. Not just lunch, but this morning. Every one of the four presenters in the panel really deeply resonated with me. I learned a lot, and it made me want to even shift a little bit about how I present this material in the 25 minutes that I have with you today. So I am Tom Thomison. I am from the States. So I do have that American kind of flair for being a little bit overly promotional, right? Using my hands, you'll just have to kind of ignore that a bit. But that combined with being an entrepreneur makes me super energetic about what I have to share and how I live and work and earn a living. I have a fully distributed lifestyle. I share everything that I have. I live in other people's homes and Airbnbs, and I share my homes with others, and this goes on and on all over the world. So I've really shifted my whole being on how I approach work, how I approach starting organizations. I'm kind of not a serial entrepreneur. I don't really know what that means. I like Irvin's thing, one goddamn thing after another. That didn't really feel right. It was more like the next thing, the next most important thing. So I've started 6 organizations, helped to found 6 organizations over that 30-year period. But my career didn't start actually as a career. I actually thought I was going to have more of a vocation. So I, in my early teens, late teens and early 20s, was really interested in the big purpose. Why are we here? Who are we as humans? What's our contribution? And I couldn't think of a better place to explore that topic than a monastery. So I spent quite a bit of time at a Benedictine monastery learning and getting the experience of being in an intentional community and the power that's there. The love between like-minded individuals all coming together to do amazing work, living together, praying together, meditating together. It was an awesome experience. But I was in my late teens and 20s, and hormones being what they are, and archaic rules about celibacy, that reality just didn't actually work so well. And I had this burning desire to create in the world anyway by launching new businesses. But I actually started my first business in the monastery. So I actually started thinking about organizational work inside that system. So there was this weird conflict from the beginning. Between spirit and work, community and practice, that has kind of stuck with me for the rest of this journey. And I think I need a clicker at some point, so somebody might be able to help me out there. Anyway, so I kind of let that ring out of my system, and I launched full on into organizational life, organizational work. I started my first real company in my early 20s, and that led to my next, and it led to an exposure of big business, big public companies, small private companies, governmental agencies, NGOs, for-profits, not-for-profits. And I was really working to help organizations be more healthy, healthier places for us to show up, to be able to contribute more of who we are. And I was failing over and over again, right? So I was creating these interesting businesses. They were disruptive businesses. They were businesses in technology and business process improvement. And I was competing with and playing with all the majors. Everybody that's supposed to know how this is done, right? From McKinsey to Price Waterhouse to Ernst & Young to Accenture. And we were failing miserably. So I did this for almost 2 decades. I had things done to me, and I have to admit, I did things to others in hopes that would make organizational life better, and it didn't. Because no matter what we tried, all the clever techniques, whether it be business process improvement, high-performance teams, agile systems, lean systems, self-improvement systems, team dynamics, professional development, leadership development, you kind of get the drift. We've tried a lot to make organizational life better. And with every one of those, there are kernels of goodness in them. There's beauty in lean and agile techniques. There is, of course, beauty in high-performing teams and trusting your coworkers. But what happens with those techniques? They go right back into the same power structure, right? So we get everybody excited that things can be different. the promise of what's to come. And we put the people through these new processes. And everybody gets excited. And then they bring these techniques back. And what happens? The power antibodies come out. And they eat away all that goodness, and it atrophies and dies. And what's left in the wake? Disillusionment. I've heard that before. This is just another offering du jour. And in its wake, the most severe cynicism. So I had launched a company in 1999, and rode the dot-com wave through 2003, and was thinking that we would solve this problem, and didn't. It ended up bankrupting itself. All the partners were disillusioned, and it left me incredibly cynical. So I had been beaten up trying all the best things that I knew how to try. I had tried everything under the sun with some of the best players. And hello? Oh, keep going? Okay. There we go. Thanks. So I had tried everything under the sun and was ready to rethink what I knew of as organizational work. I was ready to surrender. I was broken. I was ready to stop trying to incrementally improve what had come before and try something radically different. This led me on the self-organization journey. And in the 20 minutes that I have left with you, I want to share a little bit of that journey and how that has led to ever more purposeful work. By changing the game completely, by rethinking what it means to even be in an organization and what an organization is, we can do brand new things together. And this has been amazing. And I started this game in 2006, where I crossed paths with another gentleman who was in this same question and very disillusioned with organizational life conventionally, and was experimenting in his own company. That was Brian Robertson. He and I met in 2006 and launched a company, Holacracy One, in 2007, to play with some of the early pioneers. Some of you may recognize names on the list. So Morningstar, Gore, Reinventing Organization. Anybody familiar with Frederick Laloux's work? Awesome work if you're wanting to get in and step into this space. Talking about those who were also kind of dissatisfied with status quo and looking to find different solutions. So these are the early pioneers of the work, and they home grew their own system. They said, you know what, we need to rethink what it is to be an organization. And so they grew their own self-organizing systems. Holacracy One, actually, we have a book out a couple years now, took a little bit different approach. And when Brian and I started Holacracy One, we wanted to create not a homegrown system, but a system that could be adopted by anyone that wants to implement these practices. Any organization that wants to become a self-organizing entity could adopt the Holacracy Constitution and do so. And so this led me to 10 years of actually deploying a self-organizing system all over the world with progressive leaders, with entrepreneurs, and regular folks just doing ordinary work and seeing how their work lives were transformed when everything became not about the boss or not about management hierarchy, but about purpose. So the thing that Holacracy brings and many of these self-organizing practices bring is an anchoring to purpose, which is, of course, why we're here. So Holacracy is a complete replacement for something that came before and is still thought of as a necessary condition, a necessary evil, management hierarchy. How else are you going to run a business if you don't have management hierarchy? There's actually a good answer to that question now, a replacement for it, an alternate power system, a power system that is self-organized and designed to express work in pursuit of purpose. That's what a self-organizing system is. It's incredible. And having done that work, there are some key principles that I would invite you to look at and look at your own work life and see how these key principles might be baked into your work as independent agents of purpose in the world. There are 5, actually. There are 5 key components. in this new world of work. So everybody is kind of talking about the new world of work. And there are 5 elements. The first, no surprise here, purposeful. So in a self-organized system, in the new world of work, everything hangs on purpose. This is evolutionary purpose. And much like the earlier presenters pointed to, evolutionary purpose is known by the action. It's not an abstract thought in the head, it's a doing, hence the path. When confronted with the decision, what do you choose? In that step, in that choice, you're demonstrating your sense of purpose. Purpose is as purpose does, right? Stealing from Forrest Gump. Stupid is as stupid does too, for sure. I do stupid things all the time. And in that regard, we're always kind of on purpose. I think it was Nick that said, sometimes you can't articulate it. Who cares? Take a step. Take the next step. It's in the knowing and the step-taking that you're manifesting your purpose, even in the uncertainty and the unknowing. That's where the discovery process occurs, stepping into your purpose. And the cool thing is, with a self-organizing system like Holacracy, everything hangs on purpose. Purpose is the new boss. Purpose is the new central authority figure. Purpose is the cohering force that we all come together around. No longer are we dependent on inspired progressive leaders. We don't have to have personal egoic leadership any longer. We can be inspired by something else, something greater than ourselves. And we all know in this room, as soon as we serve something greater than ourselves, magic and mystery happens. So this is a cornerstone, purposeful. And this is baked into, not aspirationally, the subtitle of this presentation is the for-purpose enterprise, moving from aspiration to real templates to make this a practice. So these principles are baked into the rules, the substitute rules, the new rules that are adopted by everyone and that everybody plays by, no exceptions, no privileged classes. When you adopt a holacracy, you sign up for a new rule set, and every single person plays by the same rule set, even the former power holders. There's no CEO, there's no VP, there are no supervisors, no bosses, no directors. Everybody's playing by the same rules. This changes the game completely. The other 4 principles are all in pursuit of purpose. So purpose, the other marker, holarchy, a new structure. So we talked about this, Irvin talked about the cohering force, and Jude talked about this, the holarchical structures. So what's the replacement for management hierarchy? We're all familiar with the top-down, right, box chart with people stacked up with people, dotted lines, matrices, functional groups, all that kind of craziness that we try. We try to get really clever with our organizational structures. But what is that, really? It's a power hierarchy. It's a power hierarchy of people. And no matter how hard we try, it can be a domineering hierarchy as well. We want a different hierarchy. The bad news, and I think it was Nick that said, the price to pay for some of this is letting go of some held beliefs and some habits of mind. This is not a flat structure. This is not instituting a flat organizational structure. In fact, I don't believe in it, not as a belief, but in my experience. Evolution does not design flat. Mother Nature hates flatness, right? We are structured. Jude this morning was talking about our bodies. We are natural holarchies. We are natural hierarchies. So in the new world of work, to be fully self-organized, we need a replacement for management hierarchy. And that replacement is a different structure. It's a different hierarchy. It's a natural hierarchy. It's a hierarchy of purpose. Way cool. And everything in that hierarchy is distributed. So starting from the broadest purpose, that gets unpacked into more specific purposes, which get further unpacked into ever more specific purposes, creating a brand new structure. An organizational structure designed exclusively to express purpose. So what this does is change the game even more. Because if I ask you to give me your best definition of what an organization is, I bet you have one in mind, right? So think about it. What's an organization? We're talking about self-organization, right? What's an organization? I used to think my best definition for an organization was a group of like-minded, passionate people all coming together to do really cool work in the world. Doesn't that sound sexy, right? That's exactly what we don't want, right? So we don't want that. That's what's getting us into trouble, trying to leverage the relationships for commercial production and operational efficiencies. We need to drop this habit. That is not to say that the relationships are unimportant. They're vitally important. Actually, they're more important than the organization itself, right? We've got it backwards. We've got the organization somehow having power over us personally. That needs to stop. So this changes the game and makes the organization simply a structure, a natural holarchy designed to express organizational work in pursuit of what? Purpose, period. So it's a little esoteric, but there are no people inside that. People live elsewhere. So in this brand new world of work, where self-organization is entirely for purpose, and there is no personal power holding, there's no people inside the organizational structure. We, as independent agents of purpose, are in relationship to that. We have a right relationship with our work and the organizations and the organizational purposes that we serve. This changes the game. Next up, we have dynamic. We've already talked a bit about this. Current organizations are very predictive. Somehow we've gotten to the habit that we humans are really good predictors. We are so not. We are terrible predictors. And our conventional management structures kind of reward predicting and controlling for outcomes that we, quite frankly, can't control. So for the most part, we're living under this illusion of control. And so what we want is a different system to be what? More agile, more lean, more responsive, more mindful, more organic, to always be sensing into what's needed now and transforming that into next. Now, you don't have to remember all of that in your head, because the rules of the game, the Constitution, the rules of self-organization embody this. So like the rules of any good game, if you play by the rules, you begin to express the principles and manifest the values that you want. So in the new world of work and self-organization, everything is dynamic. And this shows up concretely. How many of you had the experience where you come into the meeting and you have a really good idea and you try to get that really good idea heard, and the response you get is, oh, we've already decided that, and it's going to be this way. We've already decided that. We've already predicted and decided what's needed. So being attached to some outcome is getting in the way of self-organization. The last two, autonomy, the ability to lead your work and follow others who are leading their work. Right? This is huge. We heard this today too. The ability to show up and bring all of yourself unhindered, no longer seeking permission or asking permission from authority figures because they don't exist. You have voice. You have power. This puts you into a right relationship with your own power and invites you to be in right relationship with others who are expressing their power, their sense of autonomy. So in the new world of work, you get good followership and good leadership that embraces autonomy for everyone. Hopefully you're kind of getting an energetic sense of this. This is a really fun way to show up and work to get purpose into the world. And the last one, in terms of the principles, transparency. So no sacred cows, no silos. In fact, as much transparency as you can stomach, right? So open book management kind of got us down the path, but in a self-organized system that is designed to express purpose, we want everything to be transparent so we can steer. We want to get the data. We want those key performance indicators, those metrics. We want it all to be transparent and visible. So I share this with you. In the last 5 minutes, I want to share with you kind of what's next. And for some of you, this is new, and this is aspirational. I'm here to tell you, you can do this now. This is possible now. There are tens of thousands of people working this way. Not just with holacracy, but there are other techniques out there. There are thousands of organizations that have shifted to self-organization for purpose. So this is doable now. But back to my entrepreneurial roots. We've had a lot of success in self-organizing the work for purpose. By the way, the new org chart looks like this organic diagram. It looks like a set of nested cells. It looks nothing like our traditional top-down org charts. We've had a lot of success doing this. But back to my entrepreneurial roots, doing this over the last 10 years, I started to sense into evolutionary purpose all over again. It's like we have done wonders self-organizing the work without management hierarchy. We've gotten rid of the notion of bosses. We've made everything personal, purposeful and dynamic. What are we still doing with owners and shareholders and boards and officers and directors? And if we have no bosses and everybody has the freedom and autonomy to lead their work, what are we still doing with employees? These are where power structures are still held personally. And these two systems have been left behind. I call them lingering tensions. So we've addressed many of the tensions to self-organize the work, but we've left a few things behind, like legal and capital structures and ownership structures. What does it mean to own a fully self-organized entity? I thought we gave that up with slavery, right? What does it mean to invest in purpose? Do you expect a return on your capital or a return on your purpose? And what kind of transparency and visibility do you expect in that purpose investment? So, we have been working all over the world to upgrade the two systems left behind, the legal and capital structures and the people structures, so that it is no longer necessary to be an employee. You can actually become now a full legal member partner no matter what your status is with the organization. And that jurisdictions all over the world, we're working in Austria and the Netherlands and the US. We have projects in Switzerland, in the UK, in Ukraine, and Japan and China to look at existing legal structures and upgrade those legal structures to incorporate those principles of being purposeful, dynamic, transparent, so that no power is held personally anywhere in the system, something that we call the for-purpose enterprise. And this is not aspirational. So we don't have time, nor is there probably a lot of desire to dig into the legal details. So I'll give you thumbnails. But we have brand new agreements. We have a founding member agreement, new pathways for entrepreneurs to launch for-purpose companies without all the unwanted things, like founder fusion and capital structure disputes and all kinds of other unwanted things that happen with early stage companies. We have brand new operating agreements, brand new financial agreements, brand new ways to think about intellectual property and confidentiality. In other words, we're upgrading all the conventional stuff to make it more aligned with self-organization principles. And this gives us a brand new way to think about investment too. So we also think about purpose investment. You're probably familiar with social venture capital. This is like social venture capital plus, because you get to invest in purposes that you care about. And you get a pathway with visibility to see the impact of your purpose capital and participate in that process in brand new ways. So we have a whole host of agreements, templates to make this real, moving from aspirational to practicable. And that is the for-purpose enterprise, where end-to-end, everything is done for purpose, and there is no power being held anywhere in the system, individually or personally. And this allows me to show up, hopefully like you want to show up in the world, as independent agents of purpose, working on purpose, earning a living on purpose, and hanging out with others in relationship on purpose, where we spend the vast majority of our time in our work lives. So thank you for your attention. I hope that gives you a glimpse into what we're doing, what we're up to.